Hey guys, it's Sebchoof here. So, as you probably have all experienced, there's a new Shatters dungeon and it's a bit of a pain. A lot of the reason why it's a pain is because it takes so long, and half that reason is because there's two parts where most people clear all of the minions to either get the switches or towers and activate the bosses. And a lot of people have been watching my stream and been seeing me rush both to save a lot of time, and some people asked me to make a guide on this, so this is my attempt in doing so. Keep in mind, I haven't experienced Shatters that much. Like, I've played it for 2 streams so far. A lot of this will be talking about concepts and the theory, because I also only have been using Ninja and Samurai since they have the drop rate bonuses, and all of my characters are exalted in Shatters anyway. But yes, I'll be showing you how to rush, not only the first part with the open areas and the switches you can get, but even how to rush the second towers, even when the minions are horribly HP scaled, and what rooms to go into, because there's a few different selections that you can choose from, and yeah, how to bring the flames back to the second boss to activate it. So let me first talk to you about the first rush. Basically, with the first rush, there's a massive open area before the first boss, as you probably all know about. There's 12 switches you have to get, if my memory is correct, and there's 3 different map generations, which I'll go into in a bit more detail. But they all have consistent enemy spawns between them, except if you get the same map generation multiple times, there can be switches in different areas. So like, here's the example. Here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. The switches, if you run past them on the mini map, you will see that there's like a 3x3 grey floor that they stand on, which makes them really easy to see on the mini map. You have to find them all by yourself, so it really helps to have a bit of experience. Like, once you start doing this, it gets easier and easier as you'll remember where the switches spawn, except for when the last one is alive, then it shows up as a pink dot on the minimap. And then once you kill that one, you can get ready to use your interact key right away as it dies, because it turns into a teleporter into the first boss anyway, so you can go all in on that one. How exactly the switches function, when you get close, they're normally invulnerable, but when you get close to them, they become vulnerable until you walk away, and then 1 tile away, and they become invulnerable again after 1 second. The enemies in the first area are quite shallow in behavior. Most of them just shoot at your current location. So what I find really easy is, sometimes it takes a few cycles, but what you do is you run onto the switch and then you slowly rotate around it, so that the enemies that shoot at your current location always miss, because they're shooting where you previously were, if that makes sense, until it's very difficult to stay in that same area, because the shots might accumulate. And then all you want to do is run out and then do another rotation as the enemies pull towards you outside of the room or away from the tower, and then yeah, you just go in again. There is one big preventer to doing this. There's gargoyles in... I'm sure you've seen gargoyles in this dungeon. And the gargoyles themselves do shit all damage. Like, they're not scary on their own. Except the annoying thing is, 1 alone can paralyze lock you, which is very frustrating, because yeah, the enemies that shoot at your current location usually aren't a threat, except if you're paralyzed, because then they'll be able to hit you easy and you die quite quickly. So to avoid the gargoyles, basically stay away from them. They try to sit on you. As long as you're always at least 2 tiles away, I find it's basically impossible to get paralyzed. And if they do find you when you're around a switch, what I like to do is I like to drag them away. Usually, if you're in an open area, then you can just drag it away. And yeah, you want to use Speedy to lose track of it, or you can just kill it if the HP scaling isn't too rough. And then you can either re-enter the same room via another entrance, because they always have 2, or and then exit out of the same entrance, or if it's an open area, just take a loop and repeat that cycle until the 1 switch is dead. And yeah, just kill 12. Same goes for the stone idol. You probably won't run into it too often, because there's only 1 or 2, I think, in the whole map. But yeah, the main thing you want to worry about with them is they shoot petrify shots, which are long lasting and very long range. So don't get hit by them, otherwise those minions that shoot at your current location will have a really easy time hitting you. Another cuntish enemy I have to tell you about is there's these red enemies. They're deceptively strong. If you stand on them, they can do more than half your HP, so just make sure you don't stand on them. Even running past them can be quite dangerous. So yeah, well, watch out for those guys while you're doing this rush. Otherwise, this one's quite easy compared to the second rush. I think this is the easier than any of the other Exaltation dungeons to rush, the first part at least. Something that you want to do to always make your rushing easier, if you're not on a speedy class, bring a snake eye ring with you. I was rushing this on Samurai quite easily. And yeah, it allowed me to outrun the gargoyles and everything, just made it a lot quicker, and like traversing the map, it speeds that up as well. As far as classes go, yeah, it's not too important what class you choose. The faster the better, and of course the more damage the better, because then you don't have to do as many cycles. But yeah, bring a snake eye ring if you don't have a speedy. And also, just something to keep in mind, if you are playing rogue, if you're invisible, the switch actually won't activate. So try not to use your invisibility if you're trying to go for a switch. Now with the free map generations, first we have the swamp map. This is my most hated one by far because actually it can be a lot of fun, but the bottom left part is so challenging. I hate it so much. Unless you're solo, what you can do is you can ask the main group to go left so they can clear it while you're rushing the other switches, and that will make it just a lot more consistent for you and them. Then we have this Y looking map. Nothing too unique about this one, except that there's some switches around the shores. There's a lot of switches on the bottom side actually, and can be on that small island. And then there's this last one. There's just one thing to note about this one. There's a bottom right part where there can be this easy to access island. I like to go there first as a rusher, because there can be 2 switches there right away. Otherwise, yeah, the buildings in general can be quite a pain, so watch out for those. But yeah, something you can do with buildings is you can clip the gargoyles on the other side, because they don't have like smart AI or anything where they run around the walls. You just have to get them on the other side of the tower walls, the switch walls, and then you don't have to worry about them. But yeah, the first rush is ridiculously easy compared to the second rush. I think rushing the second towers might be the hardest rush in the game. Not because the bullets are hard to dodge, but because the minion behaviors are so annoying, and dragging the flames and everything. Definitely not a fun rush at all compared to other rushes. It's still enjoyable because you have to kind of use your thinking in order to make it work. What I mean by that is you have to like sometimes drag some minions away so they don't shoot towers, especially if it's HP scaled, and you want to just find smart ways to push the flame along. I'll get into it in more detail with some examples, but first things first, there's like a part between the first and the second boss. You can just skip that right away. It's kind of a waste of time to clear all of that out, or at the very least, just hug the left side and clear that out. But if you're a rusher, and if you're solo rushing, you might as well skip it, because having that extra time to try to, usually if you're in a private run, there will be a big group that splits into 2 and they do 2 towers at the same time. So it's very convenient if you can do the third one alone, and rushing past those minions gives you that extra time to do so. So how the rooms generally work, at all of the rooms, there will be a flame at the end. So it splits off. There's 9 different rooms you can get. This is my idea of the order of difficulty of the rooms. The top 3 are quite nice to get, especially the puzzle room, while the bottom 3 are absolute hell, and yeah, you basically can't rush them. But how the rooms actually work, at the end, there's a like flame spawning thing, which can spawn 4 different kinds of flames. What you want to do is you want to bring the flame back to the second boss from each room, or 3 or 4 of the rooms, sorry. And along the way there'll be a lot of enemies. There'll be aggressive enemies, which you have to deal with. There'll be enemies that try to shoot you, but they'll be standing in the same spot, which is ones that I mostly ignore, but you just want to dodge them. And then there'll be also enemies that can be either of one of those, but they also respawn and shoot the towers, which can be extremely frustrating because they can reset the flame. You have to push the flame along, shooting each tower while evading the enemies, so it's really tough sometimes. But there can be 4 different types of flames you can get, and depending on which flame you can get, it can be a lot easier or a lot harder. Like for example, there's one amazing flame to get, the yellow one, which moves automatically as long as you shoot the towers that are in front of them, and it moves really fast. However, if your RNG is not as nice, you can get a flame which you can get one of the other flames, and there's some that are more annoying than others, like some move slow. For example, the green one has 3 different flames, and you have to push all of them along, which can be really frustrating. And also the red one is super slow. The blue one's not so bad. But yeah, what you want to do is move it along, and along the way, you will have to deal with enemies. There's some that are more aggressive, some that are less aggressive. These are the aggressive enemies that you will have to deal with. You don't actually have to kill them. What you can do is you can bait them out of the way of the towers. So like what I like to do is sometimes I'd clip it behind a table, or I would just drag it and then run fast out of the way. It's much easier with speedy or slow, of course. I've been using ninja or samurai with snake eye ring to do that. And then there's the passive minions that you just have to dodge. With the purple ones, it's extremely important that you drag them away, because they will disrupt the chain of flames, and if they even destroy a tower that's behind, it can reset the whole, your whole progress, which is really annoying. Though rushing it to get to the end first is really easy, and you want to do this with every room, because clearing like from the very beginning might lead you to clear some minions that you don't have to, and if you clear the purple minions, I guarantee you they'll be respawned by the time the flame reaches the first purple minions of the room anyway. So rush to the end and try your best to use the tools that are available to push the flame along. Depending on what class you're playing, some might be better at this than others, like dragging the minions out of the way, especially the purple ones, and then using either speedy or stealth or trickster decoy is what you need to do, especially when it's heavily HP scaled. By the way, if you decoy the purple minions, while the purple minions are close to the tower, they just go for the tower anyway. But yeah, in my opinion, this is the order of how easy to hard the room generations are, and it can vary quite a lot. It goes, in my opinion, puzzle, then study, then armory, then living quarters, dining hall, cellar, alchemy lab, treasure keep, and the prison room or the lockup room, which is the most disgusting. The last 3 you basically just want to clear by rushing to the end first, if you're in a tiny group. Otherwise just wait for the main group to help. But to give a quick description on each, like with the puzzle room, you just have to know how to solve the puzzle. I could be better at it myself, but once you know how, that one room can take a very short amount of time, because there's barely any minions there as well. So if you aren't able to drag them for whatever reason, you just might have to kill a few, and then you'll be able to solo that one. Then there's the study room. This thing about the study room is it's really annoying to get to the end, definitely the longest, because it's so massive, but since it's so big, the minion spawns aren't as compact. So it's much easier to avoid the minions and also drag them out of the way, especially because the flame ends up going, the way how the study room looks, it's like a maze. The flame ends up going through the wall anyway, so it allows you to avoid a lot of minions. Then there's the Armory Room. It's a lot of RNG, whether this one's a tough one or not, because from experience, sometimes the flame requires you to lead it through less rooms than other times, and it just feels like there's less purple minions in this one, from my limited experience. With the living quarters and the dining hall, they're quite similar. You just want to hug one part of the wall to not activate that many minions, and then either kill this very few you activate, because the towers go through quite an efficient way throughout those room generations, so you just got to find a way to drag them out of the way. And then there's the cellar, the alchemy lab, and the treasure keep. I hate all of these. They all have such compact spawns, and it's pretty much impossible to drag enemies out of the way, because then you'll be dragging more, and then it just ends up being even more. So I avoid these. If you see the signs to these ones, avoid these ones and let the main group do them. And then there's the most disgusting one of all, the lockup or the prison. When you do activate the flame for this one, it spawns so many annoying enemies. They all deal quite significant damage, and there's a lot of them that respawn. I would definitely get the main group to do this one because yeah, it's a pain. You end up having to clear a lot of them yourself, and even soloing this one, bringing back the flames to the beginning after you kill all of the minions and try to get all of the purple minions down at the same time. It's even a struggle to do that because usually there's so many voided minion spawns that they end up respawning before you bring it back, and it just non-stop resets. There's an extremely low chance that you'll get these 4 last rooms that I mentioned as the only options in the dungeon, but yeah, try to avoid those as much as you can and prioritize the ones I mentioned in order. But yeah, this dungeon is still really new to me. I've been throwing a lot of characters trying to learn it a lot faster, and yeah, I have found rushing it significantly reduces the amount of time it takes to run. But yeah, I've still got a lot to learn when it comes to this rush, and I don't have too many recordings of me doing it successfully, but I might either upload some future guides or recordings of me rushing them, maybe like an example of each room. So if you'd be interested in seeing that, make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see, especially on other classes. I have a feeling that Trickster would be the best by far for rushing this Shatters, especially because you can jump over tables and the walls in the study. I also do want to release a guide on the boss fights, which will be more tailored to beginners as well. Also, basically, whenever I play, I'm always streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/Sebchoof_RotMG, so make sure to chuck me a follow there. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you next time.